Everyone has anxiety, but there's actually a bunch of different anxiety disorders. Hey, what's up guys, it's me, Psych David C. It feels like almost every person I meet will say they suffer from some form of anxiety. So when you see the many different types of anxiety disorders that actually exist, it kind of makes sense. So in this video, I'm going to break down the major types of anxiety disorders, how they affect your mind and body, and what some of the treatment options are. Let's talk about it. So the first one is generalized anxiety disorder. Now from my experience, this is the most common anxiety disorder that most people suffer from. Basically, it just means you have like constant excessive anxiety all the time. Like even when there's no specific trigger or like stressor, you still feel anxious. You could have symptoms like restlessness, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, or even like trouble sleeping. An analogy I like to use is like, imagine you have like 10 different browser tabs open at the same time, and they're all flashing with like red alerts. So you're like, oh, there's something here, there's something here. Like you can't stop worrying about stuff. Like basically you just can't turn off your brain because you're like constantly thinking about things. And for treatment, you can do therapy and medications, particularly antidepressants. And then next up, we have panic disorder. Now this one involves getting panic attacks, and I mean panic attacks, not just anxiety attacks. When someone has a panic attack, they get like a sudden wave of like intense fear and even physical symptoms. Like maybe they'll start sweating, they'll start shaking. They might even get chest pain to the point where they think like they're gonna die. They can get shortness of breath. Basically, they just start freaking out. And with panic disorder, you have recurrent, unexpected panic attacks. So basically, they kind of just happen out of nowhere without any specific trigger. And you're constantly afraid of when the next one is going to happen. A lot of the people actually go to the ER because they think they're having a heart attack when it's just a panic attack, because you really do have a sense of like impending doom. So basically, generalized anxiety disorder is when you have like constant anxiety like all the time, whereas panic disorder, you have like unexpected panic attacks at random intervals. Treatment for panic disorder also involves therapy and antidepressants, and then also sometimes benzodiazepines. Then next up we have social anxiety disorder. Now this one I feel like a lot of people have too. Basically, they fear other people judging them in social settings. A lot of the time they'll just avoid trying to go to social situations in the first place. But if they have to go, they're gonna start like blushing, sweating, just because they think like other people are like secretly judging them. And then maybe they'll even start stuttering when they try to speak. And this doesn't just apply to social gatherings, it's just like everyday life too, like going to order coffee at a Starbucks. Like just talking to the cashier can be like super anxiety inducing. From my experience, this is definitely more common in younger adults for reasons that we won't go into in this video. And then treatment involves therapy, antidepressants, and sometimes beta blockers, which are blood pressure medications, but when used for like social anxiety, it can actually reduce somebody's heart rate, which therefore reduces their anxiety. And then next up, we have phobias. Now, these are usually specific phobias like fear of clowns, fear of spiders, fear of flying. Now, the key about this is that the fear is out of proportion. So like, let's just say there's a clown coming to a children's party who's like completely harmless and having fun with everybody, but someone is like so scared of that clown that they just want to like stay 30 feet away from them and like don't even want to look at them. That fear is out of proportion. So that person will try to avoid the specific object or situation that they're scared of at like all costs. There's even one really interesting phobia called agoraphobia, which means someone's like scared of going outside. So basically someone's just so scared of going outside that they actually never leave their house. And you can imagine like this leads to a lot of conflicts and limitations in their life, especially with other people. So yeah, there's a lot of different types of phobias. They can be either objects or situations. And then treatment involves exposure therapy. Basically, it involves like being exposed to whatever they're afraid of for a short amount of time, and then slowly increasing the amount of time they're exposed to that thing until the goal is they're no longer scared of that thing. And then next we have obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. So OCD is basically obsessions, which are intrusive thoughts, and compulsions, which are like ritualistic behaviors. For example, let's say somebody has an obsession or intrusive thoughts of the fear of contamination. So with their obsession of fear of contamination, it leads to the compulsions of washing their hands repeatedly until their skin cracks. Like they have so many intrusive thoughts that they might get contaminated, they just have to wash their hands for like hours per day just to not feel like they're contaminated. Or another example is like someone is so worried that they forgot to lock the door to their house when they leave. So like every time they drive away from their house, they have to turn back around to check that they lock the door, and then they'll leave again, and then they end up doing the same thing and it repeats. So basically all these thoughts and rituals take up so much time of their day that they cannot function. They can't do other things because they're so focused on these things. A lot of people think OCD is just like someone having to place certain things in certain spots or do something a certain way, but it's actually a lot more than that. And treatment for OCD involves therapy and antidepressants as well. Then last, we have post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. So PTSD develops after a traumatic event, or just like trauma in general. Some symptoms involve like re-experiencing the traumatic event, avoiding anything that reminds them of the traumatic event, hypervigilance, which means somebody gets like startled really easily. They could also have like nightmares or flashbacks to the incident, and then also just like a negative mood in general. Now, unfortunately, from my experience, a lot of my patients tell me they've experienced like sexual abuse or physical abuse that led them to having PTSD. A lot of veterans have PTSD from like hearing gunfire and seeing death during wars, which is really unfortunate. Like there's a lot of veterans who cannot stand fireworks just because the sound of fireworks reminds them of like the sound of guns during the war. But yeah, treatment for PTSD involves therapy and antidepressants. And as you've probably already noticed, antidepressants are useful for a lot more things than just depression. So those are the major types of anxiety disorders. Honestly, the best strategy for dealing with them is therapy plus medications. Keep in mind though that having anxiety is actually normal. It's when the anxiety becomes out of proportion that it potentially becomes a problem. I want to know, have you experienced any of these anxiety disorders? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. I do psych videos twice a week. I am also on TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow me over there at the Psych David C. I do telehealth medication management for adults living in California. If you're interested in booking with me, there's a link down below. And with that, your mental health just leveled up. You're welcome.